Minimum, gentlemen.
All right, we'll try.
I'll do my best.
Podcasts have ratings.
Pretend there's like a 4-year-old
Yes.
in the room.
Oh, that means it's going to be worse.
I thought there was.
There is.
I'm right here.
Hey, Mike, you're going to start and introduce?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, I'll hit the start button here. This is just a rough guesstimate for you. And then we
Hey,
will.
look at that. We're rolling.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All right. Hey, welcome, guys. I'm Mike Doyle. I'm the director of sales at Crux RoadBoardz Graphics, a sign and graphic shop, large format print company in Kentucky, and we service the whole Cincinnati area. I wanted us all to get together here and get on camera because all of our customers, they hear a lot from salespeople. They hear a lot from, our marketing that we put out there, but they don't get to see behind the curtain a lot. They don't get to hear what we do from the perspective of design or from the perspective of production. So I thought it would be cool to come in and get to address, things that our customers ask about, different products we create, and just give them a little look behind the scenes. So Jason Fiskus, you are our director of design. Am I correct there?
Yeah.
Did I get your title right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sweet.
I don't know.
And this is Jeremy Laubach, who's our production lead and manager of production.
Yes.
Production manager.
Production manager.
I knew I would get it wrong.
We all knew you'd get it wrong, Mike.
Thank you. Vote of confidence. So Jason, do you want to tell us just a little bit about how you got into design? How'd you end up at Crux? What's your history?
I've been doing design since high school. Learned Photoshop back in, I think, my senior year of high school, and really thought it was going to take off back then when computers and design digital wasn't as, mainstream as it is now.
Mm-hmm.
And started out in offset printing, like business cards and brochures and everything else. And I didn't like that so much. I liked more getting hands-on in the sign industry. It's a lot more hands-on than offset printing is. I've been doing that for, I want to say, almost close to 20 years now.
Wow. How'd you end up at Crux?
Ended up at Crux. I had my own business, running it for another guy who owned it, kind of, and managing the sign side of his business. And I just didn't like that. I wanted something where I could just clock in and clock out. I didn't have all the late nights and long weekends. And
Running a business is a lot.
yes, running a business is a lot.
I'll leave that to you, Adam.
Coming in or somewhere you can clock in, clock out, and still get to do everything you like to do
Right on.
is what I wanted to do.
You did it, bro.
Yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Jeremy? What's your story? How'd you get here?
It's actually kind of funny. Back when Facebook still posted jobs on it and you could find jobs on Facebook and apply through that, I found Crux through Facebook.
Wow.
And the job posting was a little vague. It just said it was for a production assistant. And I'd gone to school for radio and TV broadcasting. So I was like, oh, it's production. I can do that. And after I got the interview, I realized that's not what they do.
You got there. We're like,
And I was like, well,
where's all the audio equipment?
got the interview, so let's just go.
Okay.
We'll see if we get it. And I got it. And honestly, it's been a roller coaster, but it's a good roller coaster.
That's awesome.
So
So you came in totally fresh.
green. I knew nothing when I walked in the door.
Okay.
And first day, Jason was like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to laminate stuff. And they threw me on the laminator and had me going.
Okay. So Jason taught you most of what you needed to know right from the get-go? Or?
He taught me how to use the laminator. And then from there, I was just taught by whoever could show me how to do it.
Everyone else?
Everyone else
effort?
that was there. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, so can you tell us what sets your job apart from like other, there's lots of graphic shops. They do a lot of different things, but I know like large format print specifically is different. What makes it different? Why do you have to kind of have a special skill set to do what we do or what you do?
What I do or
Yeah.
what Jason does?
Let's start with you.
Well, what I do, I mean, you have to have time management. That's the biggest thing because everybody wanted their stuff yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the nature of the beast. It is what it is. And you got to be able to do it fast and right.
Mm-hmm.
And
And you're the guy that gets to come in at 4 a.m. when stuff needs to be produced for
when
that
something
day.
needs to be done, that's my job as
Right.
production manager, is to make sure it's done.
So for all of our clients that have had a rush order that, get it in an incredible amount of time, you probably have this guy to thank mostly because it does take a lot of extra hours. And sometimes you do come in at like really early, right?
Oh yeah. There's times where it's like, oh, we need it tomorrow, but they approved it today.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, it's printing right now and you still have to give it time to off gas.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's got to have time. And
Yeah.
if it's, something that gets plotted, so it's cut by a machine, I have to laminate it, have the machine cut it, and then I can work on it. So
there's a bit of a process. in
yeah,
there.
there's a lot more of a process that people don't necessarily see
right.
that goes into creating these wraps or signs or everything that we do, because we do a lot of stuff. I mean,
So production is if you can just describe it in the process for our customers, like what qualifies as production? Like what, once design is done, but before install, would that be a good?
yeah, I mean, you're prepping it for install, or you're prepping it for the customer to do whatever with it.
So what does prepping look like?
Well, it could be anything from laminating vinyl to weeding vinyl to masking vinyl to sticking vinyl on a sign, having something routed and printed on. I mean, there is a laundry list of things that production does.
Yeah. So sometimes when it leaves your hands, though, it's ready to ship to a customer.
Yeah, it could
as long
be,
as it's not being installed, you guys.
Yeah,
are
if it's something
basically-
we're just getting to a customer, like we have several customers that install their own things.
Mhm.
So when we have it ready for that, we put it in a box and we send it out.
Awesome.
And that's how you get your sticker.
Awesome. What about you, Jason? Like what do you guys do that is like unique to large format print from a design perspective?
I don't know if this is the right answer you're looking for to the question or not, but
No right answers.
I think Crux is kind of in a sweet spot. And like, I know a lot of the time everyone says like, we're going through growing pains in businesses where you've got a small business and you got large businesses. And we're kind of like right in the middle there. Like we're not small and we're not gigantic. We're right in the middle. Like to me, it's like right where a customer needs us to be.
Yeah.
Because if you're too small, sometimes you don't have all the capabilities, all the manpower. That's a big part. Like you said, production.
Right.
Yeah, the large
In
quantity
design,
orders.
You need a lot of manpower. You need a lot of machines, where a small shop isn't going to have the manpower or machines to be able to take care of the customer.
Right.
And then you go up to a huge shop, and they are just so big that they really don't care about the customer's
Right.
needs as much.
Right.
Because they've just got so much going on, so many people, so many machines, so many orders, that they've just got to turn them over and turn them over and turn them over.
Yeah.
But like us being there in the middle, I think we've taken the time to invest in really quality equipment. You know, we're running the latest flatbed, we're running the latest laminators, the latest rips to process it, the best software we can use, and we've also got the best team of employees we can find.
I will definitely testify to that. Like I've only been with Crux for a year and a half, but the team is pretty solid just in terms of like everyone is super competent at what they do, but also it's just a really good group of people and you can feel that. And honestly, you know, most customers wouldn't think that would like translate into a better or worse product, but I think it does because there's so much stuff throughout the process that we catch or we, you know, people collaborate on like, oh, how do we solve this problem that we're, you know what I mean? That if you don't have those people there, if you don't have all that expertise in one place, like if there was a shop that was outsourcing half the jobs that we have internally, they just wouldn't be getting that service and they wouldn't get that high quality of a product. So
Yeah. I think a lot of people come to us and they're like, maybe if they brought it to another shop, they'd just be like, sorry, we can't help you. You know, but there's like, hey, this is what we want to do. And we're like, how do we get there from here? You know, and you'll come from sales and talk to us in design, and I'll grab somebody in production, and we'll grab an install, and we'll all put our heads together and be like, can we do it this way? Can we do it this way? Can we do it this way?
Because there's
And we're
always
like,
100
hey,
different
look,
ways
we
you
found a
could do it.
solution that's going to be, you know, it's going to be efficient, it's going to be economical, and they're going to get what they wanted.
Right.
And a lot of places can't do that.
Well, and
Right.
even still, the plan can change in the middle of making something. We've had that
Every day.
Yeah, that's every day. You know, like sometimes the plan just has to change.
Yeah.
We've had signs where it's, oh, this is gonna work. This is how we're gonna do it, and then we're halfway through it, and we're like, this is not how we need to do it. We need to do it a different way.
Right. There is trial and error in it. And like testing, like we were testing on the flatbed printer the other day, how to create basically a frosted pattern, you know, on a clear film. And we had to do like a bunch of saturation tests because until you actually print it, you know, you can only get so much from looking at an art file. But when you see it in the real world, and I don't know if every print shop is willing to like spend the time to do that, a little bit of R&D to figure out, hey, how do we get this customer something that like currently doesn't exist on the market, or it exists, but it's so expensive that it's prohibitive for them, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that goes into that it's important to have good people that actually care because without people really caring and wanting to solve the problem, then you never get there. You never do the R&D. You never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So people, I think, kind of get the concept of like, okay, we're a print shop. We do vehicle wraps are probably our biggest, product that we create. Decals, product decals, like what we do for Magnuson, what we do for Finn. And then signage is also big, and signage has been growing a lot. But what are like some products that you guys think don't get highlighted that maybe are like something that our customers should know? Hey, we do this.
I would say one thing that some of our specialty equipment, like we can print directly onto Lexan second surface.
What does second surface mean for the lay people out there?
Yeah. Second surface means on the back of something. So if you have a piece of clear, you're printing on the back of it in reverse. So when you're done, you turn it around and you see the front, and
so the side that's facing you, it's not printed on the front of that; it's printed behind, but you can see it.
So it's protected.
Gotcha.
By the polycarbonate in this case, by the face of it, the clear of it.
So what do those end up getting used for? Like, what's the end use for those decals?
The main use of that is for like scratch proof capabilities for like anything you'd start with a key, anything with a knob on it that people are just gonna be touching all day long. Because you put a regular decal there, it's gonna get scratched up, scuffed up. The ink might wear out eventually, the laminate might wear out, but if you put it on the back of it, it's gonna last forever. Like we do a lot of control panel type things where it's got a key start for a generator or for a tractor or something like
That's
that.
what I always think about the throttle on a like riding lawnmower, the turtle and the rabbit. I'm always like, that's how I describe it to people. I'm like, control panel overlays. That thing on the on the tractor.
That's exactly right.
That is what it is. Yeah, but so I don't know if a lot of manufacturers look at a shop like ours and go, "Oh, that's the type of stuff they're producing,"
No.
So I mean,
Probably not.
No, probably not. But that's why I think it's important to like highlight it. Is there anything else, Jeremy, that like stuff that we do? I know you do a lot with dimensional signage, lit signage.
Yeah, I mean, we do a lot of like the dimensional stuff. Like we do that, and a lot of people that get vehicle wraps from us don't know that we do that kind of thing, or like the second surface prints on acrylic or polycarbonate boards hanging in your office, or just lit signage, because we do that too. Indoor lit signage, we can do that.
Yeah, so I know from like a sales perspective, it's difficult because a lot of time the person at a company that's like in charge of procuring the wraps for their fleet is not the same person in that company that's in charge of getting, say, signage for them or decorating their office. There might be 3, 4, or 5 different departments. They may never even talk to each other. Yeah. So it is. Yeah. So for all our customers out there, like if you need it, we probably do it. If
it's any kind of signage, we probably do it.
Right.
Yeah. Or any kind of sticker, we probably do it.
Right. Or like Jason said, even something that's totally out of left field or is like a very weird special project. We're that sign shop that kind of likes to take on the challenge and go, we don't know how to do that, but like, we're going to figure it out, Yeah. So I think that's great. And that's honestly for me, one of the more fun things about the job. Like if we were just selling like a static product that never changed, I mean, not only would my job be boring, but I think yours would be a lot more boring as well.
It'd be more monotonous.
There's like the creative aspect of it, like problem solving. You know what I mean? And even like every step of the way, like we might need to use a special material, like Oakley Artisan Roasters is a good example, because they are
the dry erase.
Yeah, they're a coffee company that needed, they wanted their carafes branded. They're a wholesale coffee bean roaster, so like other companies like UDF carries their cold brew. A lot of places that basically are like establishments that sell food or an event space, but they don't have good coffee. Their whole goal is to like turn that place into a coffee destination by giving them good coffee. So people that might not go there otherwise are like, well, I don't drink, so I don't want to go to this bar. But you know what? They do have good coffee, so I will go with my friends. So that's kind of their whole thing. But they didn't have a good way of branding their carafes and changing, having a different bean on it, So they want one carafe, but they might use 12 different brews throughout the week. And they wanted to be able to write it on there without having to stick a new sticker on it every time. So we came up with, hey, why don't we just wrap it and put a dry erase laminate on it, and you can draw on it, you can erase it, and you can wash it. And so far, I mean, it's been really effective for them. And now they're even going so far as to get us to print specialized wraps when they, get a new customer. They're actually putting that customer's logo on it alongside theirs, and it's still something they can mark up with a dry erase pen. So specialized kind of needs, I think, really dictate a lot of like forcing us to be creative. So, all right. What do you guys like about your job?
I like the creativity. I like you said, that there's so much different from day to day. I might have a week where I'm doing a bunch of wraps, but I know it's next week I might be doing just something off the wall. I might be doing signage for a living wall.
Right.
You might be doing a dimensional lighted sign.
A VR room.
A VR room wrap. Yeah, you just never know what you're going to get into from week to week. That's why I like the signage industry versus offset printing. You're just printing business cards, brochures, books, just paper stuff.
Right.
It's all paper.
Right.
This way, I mean, we're dealing with everything from what materials you're going to route, what bits you're going to use to route them with. You've got to
why won't it route correctly?
Right.
Understand
what kind of adhesives you're putting something together
Well, and
with.
even like the scratch proof lambs, like some of them, depending on the thickness, you need to laminate it with a higher heat at a slower speed.
Yeah.
Like those are things that like we figured out on the fly. Like that wasn't stuff we knew. That was just like, well, try turning the heat up and slowing it down. See if that works.
Yeah.
And it worked. And it was like, oh, well, do that.
So just because we've talked about laminate a bunch of times, and I don't know if the average customer knows what laminate is, why we use it, what is...
It's a UV protectant to protect the ink from the sun and weather.
Okay. So...
It's to make it last longer.
Okay.
Because if you just threw a piece of vinyl that was printed up on the wall, it would fade in a couple weeks.
Right. So we use, for vinyl, we use film laminate. You can also spray on lam, right?
Yeah, we don't spray on lam.
Not for vinyl.
Not for vinyl.
Because it's just not as high quality, or what?
Just harder.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's a little more of a difficult task. When you use the film lam, you can do it on a roll-to-roll laminator.
Right.
It's real simple.
And I know from
pretty much anybody can do it.
I know from an install perspective too, don't they prefer film lam, especially on removals? So like that's something that I tell customers all the time. There probably are shops that are going to outbid us on stuff, but it's because they're using a cheaper vinyl. B, they might be using liquid laminate, which, yeah, it's great. It's cheap for you now, but 5 years from now when you have to get that taken off and the shop that you asked to take it off says this is going to take 40 hours because it's coming off in tiny little pieces as opposed to big strips like it would be had we laminated it with, or had that shop laminated it with a high quality lam. I think that's something that, people don't think about, right? It's like, well, let me just get the cheaper thing here. But when it comes to graphics, especially vehicle graphics, you probably are going to end up paying for it later.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too. That's something else I like about what we do here at Crux. I'm not trying to be all salesy. That's your job, but
that is my job.
But we do use quality 3M vinyl.
Yep.
We use the quality 3M laminate,
and no one's forcing us to.
No one's forcing us to.
They are significantly cheaper.
Let me tell you an industry secret.
Yeah.
Probably this is for the customers out there. Like when somebody says they're using 3M film, 3M vinyl, 3M laminate, 3M has everything from bargain basement garbage to high-end films. Mm-hmm. And just because it says 3M on the back doesn't mean it's premium.
Right.
They sell short-term vinyls and they sell long-term vinyls. Mm-hmm. And if you were just handing it off to somebody, once it's complete, they don't know the difference.
It looks the same on day one.
A lot of shops will sell people inferior products because they don't put a warranty on anything.
Right.
And like you were talking about the ink, the vinyl. I mean, we're actually using a 3M match component system, which, I don't want to get too salesy, but
what does it mean?
It's for roll-to-roll printers like our wraps and everything that's printed roll-to-roll. We're using 3M 180 series vinyl, which is a wrap vinyl. And along with that, we're using our Epson printers, which have a 3M certified ink that they run through them, which gives them the longest ink lifespan on the vinyl.
Right.
And then we're also using the 3M certified film laminates,
right,
which give it the high quality, yes. And that gives it the longest lifespan, so that we can offer the longest warranty in the industry for our products. We want to wrap your van and not have it come back for peeling. We don't want to have it cracking. We want to say, like, here's your van, it's wrapped, it's done. I'll see you in 7 years when you're
ready for a new one.
When you're ready for a new one.
Right.
Normally the wrap outlives the vehicle if it's a work vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I completely agree. I think there's not enough emphasis on it and that we use high quality materials, but it's also like, yeah, that's all a choice. You know what I mean? It's kind of an integrity thing is the way I look at it. Like, yes, we could make more profit. Yes, we could undercut our competitors on price, but really is that good for the customer? Like it's not. And these are business owners that we're dealing with. Some of them, you know, kind of like smaller businesses. So wasting money, several $1,000s on something you're going to have to replace or doing something, cutting corners now. And this person, you know, they're going to get a $4,000 wrap removal bill 5 years from now. I think it's unethical. So, I mean, I really do appreciate that about our company, and that when I'm selling something to somebody, I can do it like with full faith and integrity. I'm not like thinking under, you know, behind the curtain, oh, you know, this is gonna like I'm getting one over on them, which I think most salespeople don't want to do, but you know, again, we have integrity. So.
I think we're in it for the long-term relationship with the customers. I mean, I've been here for 12 years. You've been here for how many years?
7.
And, you know, we don't want a one-time hit with the customer. We don't want you to bring a van here and we make a sale one time,
Yeah, a
and
couple
then
$1,000
you're
or
unhappy
something.
and you never come back.
Right.
We've been doing the same customers for as long as I've been here.
Right.
You know, we don't normally lose many customers. Sometimes we will. Sometimes we'll have somebody do a van here and they're like, okay, it's this price, and then they get another van and they're like, call somebody else and they're like, well, they can do it a little cheaper.
Right. Or
And
it's
they
a
go-
different person buying it 2 years later and they just didn't know they did work with us.
But most of the time they go to that other company and get one van done, or one vehicle, whatever. I just keep saying van, but and then they realize, oh, this is not the same product.
Right.
I'm not getting the same quality I got. And you see them another year later when they get the next vehicle, they're back.
And they come back. Right.
Because they realize.
We have a lot of customers that'll leave and come back.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, somebody switches titles and it's a new person running that department or whatever, and they didn't know where they were getting it. So they go somewhere else and they find out, oh, this isn't as good as what we were getting before.
Right. There's a lot of shops that offer what on its face might seem like the same thing, but I mean, that's kind of part of why I wanted you guys to come in, so we could kind of educate our customers on like, no, there is a difference, and there's a reason you want to keep coming back to the people that like care and want to use the quality stuff and really try and make it as good as it can be, because it's an investment. It's a business investment. They're trying to advertise, you know, they're putting money into various forms of investment. I mean, putting a wrap on a vehicle is the highest ROI you can get in terms of people in your local market knowing your name and name recognition. So we want to make sure that that's going to last for as long as possible. You know,
It's also a form of advertising.
Yeah.
If you have a good wrap on your vehicle that stands out, people are going to see your company.
Correct.
You know,
30,000 to 70,000 people a day. So saith 3M. All right, let's move on. What's your favorite project you guys have worked on recently?
My favorite one recently was the VR room we did for a museum.
Mm-hmm.
They did a interactive exhibit where you, instead of going to a traditional exhibit in a museum where it's all physical,
Right.
physically
Where there's
there,
like a dinosaur bones in front of you.
yeah, they have. Or if we were doing this exhibit in a regular museum, we would have to print wraps for the walls. We would print signs. We would print lettering. We would, you know, they'd bring in specimens and other things like that, like dinosaur bones and big old dioramas and things like that. But this, you walk into and you put in, all we do is we wrap all of the wall surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
They walk into it, put a VR headset on, and whatever that exhibit is programmed to is what you see.
Mm-hmm.
They only have to wrap it once, and then they reprogram it a few months later, and you go back and you see a completely different exhibit.
Right. So
in
then
VR.
it's the software people basically having to design new exhibits in a digital space, but the
Yeah.
physical space never changes.
it was even the floor.
Yeah.
Right.
The floor was even wrapped.
Right.
Like
And-
we did everything.
And that's like a challenge in and of itself, right? Like you have to use a different material on the floor than you on the walls, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because you're
gotta be
tracking
stronger.
on it. It's going to have a different adhesive, which is going to hold it to the floor so that it doesn't get scuffed up and wrinkled and kicked up.
Different laminate.
It's going to have a different laminate so that your feet aren't scuffing it up, tearing it up, versus a wall. You're not going to have any foot traffic on a wall.
Right.
It's just going to hold itself on the wall correctly without peeling.
Right. So you got to know what the end use case is to be able to really solve for that and make sure you're utilizing the right materials, the right processes, make sure that it's a quality end product so they don't have to get their whole whatever. What was it, like 2,000 square feet? It was a pretty big space, right?
It was huge.
It was huge.
Yeah. So they
There's
don't have
a
to
lot
get
of
that
vinyl.
rewrapped again,
Yeah.
4 years from now or whatever.
There's a lot of vinyl.
What's your favorite project you've done recently?
Probably the Lit 11 fitness sign.
Okay.
That looks like it's floating, like it's just the logo floating that's lit.
Can you kind of describe to us like how it's constructed? What was cool about
So
it?
it's their logo, and it's several layers of sign. So it's got a giant piece of clear polycarbonate that has Sintra attached to the face and on the back.
What's Sintra?
Sintra is like a really soft plastic PVC type material.
Okay.
We use it a lot. It's great for interior sign use. They have exterior Sintra as well.
Just to be clear, I know what Sintra is. That was for the customer.
I figured. So the Sintra that's on the back is essentially just to hold the pins that put it into the wall and the lights that light it up.
Okay.
So it was really cool. You know, the power supplies and stuff had to be put in the wall. So like we have to plan ahead for that.
To like hide all the electrical components and stuff.
Yeah, well, it would just hide like what powers the lights.
Right.
So like wires were ran into the wall to the power supply that got plugged in. That would just get plugged into a regular outlet.
So you don't have like a really cool lit sign on the wall with like an ugly cord hanging down going to the outlet.
Right. And with this one, because it had so much empty space, because their logo just looks like two ones with a circle around it. So it has to float without anything behind it. We couldn't hide the power supply directly behind the sign. So
Right.
Jason had to be like, okay, well, we need to fish it into the wall and have it somewhere else, because that's the only way to hide it.
Yeah.
So it was a fun project to
Sounds
like
cool.
figure out how to put it together and how to feed everything and get it to stay together.
Okay.
Yeah, the LEDs are really neat to work with.
Yeah.
Because pretty much anybody can just route a sign and put it on a wall.
Yeah.
It's having a router. That's not even a sign company thing. You could just be a wood shop and do that.
Right.
You know, but if you're going to combine dimensional aspects with layers and then also light that, it takes
Right.
The
There's
Xavier
another
signs with the
step
lights are
more.
my favorite. Those are my favorite signs we've done.
Yeah.
Because we have ones we've done for Xavier University where there's multiple layers and different color lights throughout the
Cool.
sign. And it's just, when you see it on the wall, it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the thing about them is they're wow pieces. It's, a lot of businesses have signage for their logo or whatever at their reception desk. But it really does make a difference when it's a lit piece, because it actually, it's kind of like how the product or the packaging is the product, right? Same reason you would want a nice vehicle wrap if you're on your vehicle, if you're going and, you're a construction person, you're going giving a $200,000 estimate to your customer in an unmarked white van, feels a lot less legitimate than if you have this full branded wrap. And I think it's similar if you're, people are walking into your office going, I'm thinking about spending $250,000 with this company, this advertising company, this distributing company, whatever the business is, spending that extra, whatever, $1,000 to make it a lit sign really can make an impact, because people look at that and go, wow, they're willing to go the extra mile. This is all subconscious, but like if you're willing to go the extra mile with your packaging, probably all of your other processes, you're doing the same thing with.
Well, even like just doing more layers to your signs, like that Sweet Life sign we did.
Yeah.
That was an awesome sign. And it had like 4 or 5 different layers to it.
Mhm.
And like there was just different vinyls to it and everything. It looked really cool when it was done.
Awesome. So, most print shops, they all basically just use the same printers, right?
No.
What kind of printers?
What kind of a question was that?
What
Mike?
kind, a dumb one. What kind of printers does Crux use? Why do we use those types of printers? And what kind of products can you make with the different types of printers?
We have a few different lines, I would call them, of printing that we do there. Our bread and butter printers are Epson S6600 eco solvent printers.
So
Those are large format roll to roll printers. They print up to 63 inches wide.
they're pretty similar to like a inkjet, that you'd have at home, right? Kind of similar.
Somewhat, but it's roll to roll. That's the only
Right.
difference. It's just a really
much
big
bigger.
inkjet.
Instead of pulling a single sheet of paper out, it's got a roll of vinyl.
on one end,
On
it's
one end, right.
rolling. Yeah, it's rolling through and taking up on the other end and keeping it clean.
But it's applying ink in essentially the same way.
Yeah,
It's,
as an
an
inkjet piece
inkjet,
of paper.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
I'm just trying to
really
get people to understand
large.
what it looks like, what it is, kind of.
Yeah,
This
really
is big
large
head that-
inkjets.
It looks like a giant giant version of it.
Yeah, and those are our number one, and those go in tandem with our large format laminators, which you take the roll off the inkjet and then you put it on the laminator and you laminate it with the UV protectant film. Then you take it off of there and you either finish it or you put it onto the plotter, which goes again roll to roll.
What does a plotter
Well,
do?
can go roll to
A
roll.
plotter is what cuts your shapes out. Some people call them a cutter or plotter. It's a vinyl. It cuts the vinyl.
It's a robot pair of scissors.
Yeah.
Like you give it.
It's
Kinda.
more of a CAD where it's got a knife that goes on top and moves around and cuts the shapes.
Gotcha. So it can cut out letters, shapes.
Yeah, anything you.
Anything on the
Tell it to.
vinyl that you tell it to.
Awesome. How many
Yeah.
of those printers do we have?
We have 4 of those currently.
Okay, so we can print a lot in a day.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
good.
they can each print 3 or 4 rolls of vinyl depending on the quality and the speed
Okay,
per
so
day. So they're
thousands
running.
of square feet of.
Yes,
If not more.
graphics.
If
Yes.
not more.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's good.
not-
We can handle the high volume projects too.
yeah. Then
Um,
we have the small Gerber edge printers.
That was
Which-
kind of the Lex Edge stuff we print.
Mhm.
That-
Yes, that does more of the specialty materials.
Okay.
That's like if we're doing specialty reflective, we do a lot of fire trucks, police cars, where it'll print it prints with a foil, which is a thermal printer.
Okay. So it's using heat to
It uses heat to apply the color to the vinyl.
right. So
So
there's one film with a foil on it, and then there's whatever you're trying to print it on, and it uses heat to press that
Yes.
onto it. Essentially,
Yes, that's.
My-
I was trying to think of how
my
to
vague
describe it.
understanding of
Yes.
it.
Yeah,
that's
that's
layman's
exactly
terms
how.
right there.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Cool.
And those they're some people consider them an older technology, but I think they're more of a specialty product because they use sprocket fed vinyl. Like if you think of it really old fax machine
Mm-hmm.
where it has little hole punches down the sides of the roll of
Right.
paper. That's
I
what
forgot
the
that's how they used
vinyls.
to be.
But that allows it, especially the plotter when it's on the edge plotter, right? That allows it to make much more exact cuts.
Yes, they're super accurate.
Right.
Yeah,
Which
that's why we do more specialty materials. Like we will do those face plates for control panels, things like that. We
Mhm.
do a lot of gold leaf for fire trucks. We do precision reflective for other
Don't
vehicles.
some of the really, really small cuts, some of
super
those
small letters.
super duper small letters on there that you just couldn't do on one of the bigger plotters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It plots. It cuts in a whole different way than a roll to roll plotter does.
Okay.
It's very, very precise. We do down to like 3/8 inch, sometimes even smaller
That's
quarter
smaller
inch
than that,
high
man.
letters.
We've had stickers smaller than my pinky now.
Yeah.
So if a customer needed a very exact, measurement of and a very small or intricate design, we could do that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it just does it over and over and over again. You can put rolls and rolls and rolls, and it just does the exact same thing every time.
It's a beautiful thing.
Very, very
Consistency.
simple, consistent
It is
technology.
a super consistent machine.
Awesome.
And then-
As long as it's all fed right and the blades good to go,
yeah.
it
Yeah,
will
do
it will cut until it runs out of material.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then you put another roll on and
And
do
then
it
you
again.
can send another one.
So do we use any other types of printers?
Yes, we also have a wide format. I don't know what to call it wide format. It's a flatbed printer,
Right.
but it's super wide. It's
It
5
is a
by
wide
10.
format.
Okay.
It is
So
wide
it's a
format.
giant table that prints.
Yes, you lay anything you want on it pretty much, as long as it's pretty flat.
Yeah, as
it'll
long as
print
it's
on
flat,
it.
Yeah.
So instead, like say we're making a sign, if we're doing it on vinyl, we have to route a piece of substrate, a piece of PVC or acrylic or polycarbonate or metal or whatever hard sign face you're putting it on. And right now we'd before we got that printer, we'd have to print to vinyl. We'd have to let it sit overnight. Jeremy would have to laminate it. It would have to get cut down, and then it would have to get mounted onto that board. And that whole process would take like what, a day, 2 days, something like that.
Depending, like especially with waiting for off gassing, you
Right.
have to wait the 24 hours
Mhm.
before you can laminate it.
Right. But this
Yeah.
because it's printing direct to the substrate, you can just throw a board on it, print directly to it, and it cures right there.
Yes, as soon as it's done printing in 10 minutes for the whole sheet,
Awesome.
you can take it right off. It's dry to the touch. It's 100% cured by UV light.
So it's probably a higher quality product in some use cases, I would imagine.
Yes, it's super time saver on our end is why we ended up getting it. Because like you said, a turnaround time, no matter how fast or how many people we have, you still have off-gassing time
Mhm.
after you print the vinyl. and you still have the install labor. And then if you're doing a wet install, which is applying vinyl to the board wet, you have to wait on that to dry off before you can even trim it or handle it again.
Wow. So can it do any other kinds of products other than just like a flat sign?
It can do pretty much anything you can dream up. I mean, that's why I like all of our combination of equipment, that we can get there from here with one piece or another. You know, we can do dimensional letters. We had 500 dimensional letters for a customer just yesterday or 2 days ago. I don't know.
They got installed today.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
We finished it this morning.
That was
Where it was
much tighter turnaround.
500 letters. They were about 4 inches tall each, and they all wanted different colored faces on them. Like, so they wanted a blue face on a letter with white returns going back. And so we were able to put all 500 of those letters on a 4x8 sheet of PVC, put that in the printer, print the colors onto the board. It took about 15 minutes. Take the board off there, put it on the router, tell it to route all 500 of those letters out. Took about an hour to route them all out.
Tell it where the colors are.
Yeah.
And you just say, okay, cut it.
And you hit cut, and, you know, an hour and a half later, we had 500 letters that had the correct colored faces versus the other process of printing all these little squares of colored vinyl, mounting it to all the faces of 500 letters.
After
then
laminating it.
After laminating, yes.
And then you would have had to go with a
Trim
razor
around
blade,
every-
cut
And then
around.
trim every single letter.
So it not only lets us do it faster for our customers, but because it's cutting out so many processes for us, it's going to allow us to actually price things more competitively for our customers, get it to them quicker, and basically just give them a better product.
Just getting it fast, doing it faster is the biggest thing.
Right.
Because
Yeah, I think, like you said, being able to do it faster, it doesn't have as much cost to the customer. And so we're able to turn it around quicker.
Right. What about, I know for, before we got that, we did a lot of jobs where we would have to outsource the printing of like ADA signage with Braille on it. For all public spaces in the United States, by law, have to have these signs. So when a hospital goes up, or I don't even know what's considered a public space, grocery store,
Government building,
yeah, they have to have these signs, and we would have to outsource that. But this new printer is allowing us to do that.
Yes, it allows you to print that directly to the board.
Right, because there's another way to make those Braille dots, isn't there?
There are probably 20 different
There's a
ways
bunch
to
of
make the
different ways.
Braille,
Yeah, like,
Braille dots.
You can just use a
technically
router.
the router our router can do it. We don't know how to get the router to do it correctly.
Right.
Was the problem. We couldn't get it to do it correctly. It would do it, but it wouldn't do it correctly.
Right.
So there's a bunch of different ways. I mean, we saw it at the show in Vegas that there's a bunch of different ways you can make ADA signs. The best way and fastest way is to direct print it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, just have to make sure you're following all your guidelines and specs.
Right. Right.
That's the important part. But yeah, there's other ways. You could drill holes and pop the dots into the holes, apply all the letters separately, layer it with different materials. But
You can do it all by hand if you're really good.
yeah, yeah, you could get there 100 different ways. But yeah, having the right technology to do it the most efficient way is the way to do it.
Yeah. I think that's what we're all about. I mean, I do think that's, I know not all companies invest back into their employees or, invest in like continuing education. But that was one thing, when they sent the three of us and Patrick, who's not here right now, our install manager, to Vegas to the Print United Expo 2024. It was, we were able to have so many conversations and learn about so many new products, the flatbed printer being one of them, but a lot of other things that just planted a lot of ideas that were like, hey, we could innovate in this space. But it really comes down to investing right in us and having us out there and seeing these new products and having the conversations with the reps, or else who knows it's there,
Yeah.
We're all doing the actual work all day, but giving your three guys in your business or four guys, a chance to, here's a week, go learn everything you can and bring us back the information. I think it's super valuable.
Honestly, for us, it's even beneficial to go to places like our distributors to see them once a year because they'll have the newest equipment and stuff like that. And we should see some stuff like that because had Robbie not gone to Trigon, we wouldn't have known about those plotters that read the barcodes and it would cut the entire roll by itself without you having to reset it every time.
Shout out to Benji at Trigon.
Huge game changer.
Oh yeah.
When Robbie told me about that, I was like, we need that.
Yeah.
Well, we need that.
Yeah, we looked at that. I think that's a big thing that's good having an owner like Adam, that we're able to go to him with our ideas and be like, hey, I've seen this, looks like a really good idea. Can you take a look at it and tell me your thoughts, see if we can try it out?
Right.
Because that's how it was. I mean, we had older full solvent printers and we said, hey, let's try these Epson Eco solvents. They look like they're better quality, look like they're faster, look like, it's better all around.
Right.
And we get one and we try it out and say, that's really nice. We like that. Let's go with this.
Yeah.
Now we've got 4 of them. We've gone through 4 more of them.
And like
we've
you said,
put a million miles.
Like
on,
you said,
we've
the
got 4 good
scale
ones.
the scale of the business. It's like if you're too small of a business, your employees could come to you and say, "Hey, we should get this thing," and they're going, "Yeah, but we don't have the money."
Yeah.
If you're too big of a business, your employees come to you saying, "Hey, we should do this thing," and they're like, "Ah, good idea, kid," and it never goes anywhere. Because there's a 50,
middleman.
50 people that have to make that decision. Whereas we're right in that sweet spot where, Adam, wants what's best for the business.
I'm
Wants
good.
what's
Knock
best
on his door.
Right, exactly. And I do think that goes a long way to like getting us, pushing us forward in the products we can create and like how well we can do what we do. It all goes back to the top. Like if he's not willing to invest in that stuff or listen to our ideas, then it's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
He might never even learn about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he might not even know.
Right.
Because to him, stuff's getting done.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. The stuff's getting done. We're fine.
No.
You know?
He's letting us do this right now to just like talk to, be able to educate our customers on stuff that like, I don't know if most sign shops care enough to like, go produce an hour of content just to try and answer some of the questions they've heard from their customers, things like that. And actually, this is my next. Oh, go ahead.
I have one other thing.
Sure. Like
you were back to explaining the terms. I know we've all used the term off-gassing a couple times.
Yeah.
And that's something that most customers are not aware of, don't understand what it means. And it's something that anything that's liquid for it to dry, it off-gasses.
Right.
Even water off-gasses.
Right.
If you spill water on the floor,
It's going to
the
evaporate.
drying process is called evaporation, but it's also off-gassing in a way.
Sure.
To me,
Sure.
that's the easiest way to explain it. But if you put ink, even if you're using a pen and you're writing something, if you write it, as soon as you write it and you put your hand across it, you got ink on your hand, you got smears.
Mm-hmm.
But 10 minutes later, that ink's dry on the paper, you can put your hand on it, it's not going to get ink
It's the
on your hand
process of
smeared.
drying, essentially.
Yes.
Curing.
Where some of the pigments, so in the printing industry, it is when you're doing roll-to-roll printing, with our Epson printers, they're printing an eco solvent, which a solvent is sort of like a paint, like an automotive paint, I would say. It's comparable to that. It's more comparable to that than like a latex wall paint.
Sure.
But it applies the pigment with a solvent transfer. And the pigment stays on the vinyl and the solvent evaporates.
Right.
And it takes a certain amount of time for that solvent to evaporate.
What happens if you were to laminate that graphic right after you printed it without letting it off gas? What's the
It's going to
consequence?
have a very high potential for failure.
Like, what's failure look like?
Failure would be peeling. It'd be popping out of any recess you put it in. If you put it over a gap or you put it on something like this brick wall, it would come back out of all the grout areas. It would not stay well because the solvents would be trapped.
Mm-hmm.
So when we print it and it comes off one roll and takes up on another roll. And when you take it off the take-up roll of the printer, it's actually trapped in there.
Right.
And a
'Cause
lot
it's
of
all
people...
rolled tight.
Yeah, it's rolled tight. And most people in the industry leave it rolled tight and put it right onto the laminator,
Mm-hmm.
which you shouldn't be doing. We built custom off-gassing downdraft booths similar to what you would see in a paint booth at a car shop, at
Sure.
a body shop, that we loosen up the rolls and we have a downdraft vacuum in the bottom of the box
So it's
that
pulling that.
pulls the solvents down, which solvents are heavier than air.
Sure.
This is getting all scientific on
Oh,
this.
I like it. It's good.
But it pulls all those solvents out of the roll, and we let them sit in there overnight, which is which creates longer turnaround, but
Right.
we want to create a quality product for the customer.
Ultimately,
we don't want them to call
yeah.
us and be like, our wrap's peeling. We don't want that.
Costs us a little more time,
Yeah.
but it gives them a better quality product.
Yeah, so
I think of it the same way with like when they do, I think a lot of companies, when they do window perf on windows, they probably just put the perf on and that's the end of the day. But we make sure we cut it back at the edges and use laminate tape, all around
to
it
seal the edges.
to seal it down.
Yeah.
It takes an extra 10 minutes, but it might make it last an extra year or two, you
Yeah.
know, which means a lot for that business owner that might not want to pay again to get that thing fixed.
It's also going to make it easier for the installers to apply the graphics if it has had a chance to off gas.
Yeah.
Because I know from applying signs that if you laminate something that has an off gas properly, when you go to peel the vinyl from the backing, it wants to curl on itself, and it doesn't want to stay
Lay flat.
rigid and nice and easy to stick. It
Right.
wants to just curl up on itself because it's got so much solvent in it.
Then you're gonna get wrinkles. Your install
But
is gonna take
make
longer.
it. Yeah, it's gonna take longer to stick it.
Right.
It's a little more difficult,
Right.
you know. And
And
sometimes
then you could still have bubbles and stuff after that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
Because it's still
and it
gonna
still
be
could
off
peel
gassing.
up
Right.
because it didn't off gas.
Just because you
properly.
get it down right the first time doesn't mean that it's not going to then peel back. Just because you didn't take the time in the production process to like make sure it was
That
off
solvent's
gassed.
going to want to leave.
Right.
That's its whole job, is to leave that vinyl. And if it can't get out because you've trapped it with laminate, it's going to get out through the adhesive side of the vinyl, which is going to make your adhesive fail.
There you go. So I mean, yeah, I think it's again a testament to like, I think that's, you know, if you're talking like founding principles, core principles that our company should continue to go by and has so far has gotten us here, is that, you know, integrity. Like, hey, let's try and do this the best way that you can do it, and try and give the best possible product every time, because otherwise we don't keep customers for decades like we have. You know
it's
what I mean?
science, man.
Yeah. It's science, baby. So what do you guys, it's kind of on the same topic. What do you guys wish we could educate our customers about?
I think back to off gassing. No, back to off gassing. The paint on your wall has to off gas. The paint on your vehicle has to off gas.
So you're talking like if we're doing a wall mural in an office.
Mural in an office, or even just cut lettering on your wall in your office. For doing a full wrap on your van, for doing cut lettering on your van, you can't paint it today and put the vinyl on it tomorrow.
Or even maybe next week.
Yeah.
You should really wait like 2 weeks.
Yeah. We did one, and it had actually been painted, I think 3 weeks or even a month before, but because this particular space, they kept it very cold and it was pretty humid in there. Those two factors meant this paint after 3 or 4 weeks still wasn't totally cured. And when I did a vinyl pull test on it, it was coming right off. You know, and that, yeah, right there. Like if you don't know that as a customer, how are you you're gonna say, oh, this is the install date they pitched. Well, it's a couple days after it got painted. Sounds fine to me. But until you know that, you know,
Yeah, you have to plan ahead, and that's something a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know that your paint has to dry. It has to off gas. It does the same process as ink does on vinyl.
we're trying to save you guys a headache.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want you to, plan incorrectly. We want you to plan ahead and be ready for it at the right time.
Yeah. What do you think, Jeremy? Is there anything like that you've just like, man, I wish every customer knew this. It would save them, save us.
Spell checker.
Spell checker.
Yeah, I mean, spell check's a good one.
Yeah.
The off gassing of paint is a huge one, because I know that's been an issue for installing stuff for us for, I don't know, eternity.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, it's every week we have something where it's like, oh, well, they just painted the wall, or this vehicle just got painted a week ago. You know, like, well, guess we're gonna roll with it,
Right.
or we gotta call the customer and tell them like we can't
can
do this,
reschedule.
like
Right.
we gotta reschedule this. Or sometimes the customer's like, we'll just do it anyway. Like, well, that's fine, but we're not gonna warranty it because it's gonna fail.
Right. Right. And I think that's like huge, is setting expectations with customers so they understand, what proper care looks like, what proper prep looks like. All that stuff really does make a big difference. And a lot of it just comes down to communication. Is there anything, I did want to talk about our new project management system a little bit, because we're getting very close to rolling it out. I was wondering if you guys thought that there was anything with our new project management system that's going to be helpful to our customers in terms of setting expectations, in terms of just them managing
They
their
can
projects.
actually see where their project is in the process, which
Like,
is like,
whether
where is it
it's-
at? Is it still been in design? Has it been printed?
Right.
Is it in production? Is it ready for install?
Sure.
You know,
are they
'cause-
installing it right now?
Yeah, like, are they sticking it right
Yeah.
now?
So it's like an organizational tool for them.
Yeah, you can actually see where it is in the process. You can, oh, I really want to go pick up those stickers today because I'm going to be close to Crux. Oh, it's ready. I'll just pick it up now.
Right.
I wish our customers actually knew that they could just come in and see the shop. Like they could come talk to you and be like, "Hey, can I get a tour?" And they could actually see all the stuff that we do and what's in process right now. Because you could walk in on any day and there could be anything in process. We could be doing a big 70 that stands up on its own, or a lit sign, or some ice boxes.
Yeah. Call us to schedule a shop visit today. Yeah, no, I mean, I wish more customers did come in too, because yeah, it's hard to grasp until you really like have it in front of you or see like a 50-foot T-Rex on the wall. I know it's not a T-Rex, but a dinosaur on the wall.
Yeah,
And
it's
go
a
like, I didn't know
dinosaur.
you guys could print something that big, or you know what I mean? What about you, Jason? Is there anything you wanted to mention about our new project management system?
About the new project management system, I think it's going to be good for fleet managers because we have like a lot of customers where they have, 50, 100 vehicles in their fleet, and they're all at different stages. Like, we might do 10 this year, 10 next year, 10 the year after that, or maybe we're doing 50 or 100 vehicles for them this year, depending on the size of the customer. And they can see when every vehicle is scheduled, what status its graphics are, if they have some that are unapproved, like you said, if they're still in design,
So
or
they
if
can
it's been
see and
printed,
approve
they
their
can see
proofs.
live. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they can get their quotes through it, approve their quotes, approve their proofs through it. Then they can see where it's at after that. They can see that, vehicle 2917 is on Friday, so they need to have it here on Thursday.
Right.
And 2918 is on Wednesday, so they need to have it here on Tuesday. And they see that they have 2 ready for pickup. So they can say, okay, we got 2 ready for pickup, so we can drive 2 vehicles down there and pick up 2 other vehicles and take them back.
Right. And I know billing is always a super fun thing for everybody involved, but I think that's a big part of it that I'm excited about too, is them being able to see their invoices, them being able to see their status of their invoices, look at a PDF of it or even pay
That's
it
a big
right
one.
there. Yeah.
Because we have customers that, forget to pay their bill and they go on credit hold and they'll call and be like, "Hey, I need this." And it's like,
and it was
Sorry.
maybe because we sent an email and it hit their spam or just got lost in their inbox. And I think that's a big part of it is, even customers that are already customers with us being able to request a quote via that portal, I think is huge because so much stuff lives in email. And I know I live in email like all day and I wish I didn't. I wish it was more centered in the same system that we're looking at the jobs, that we're looking at the calendar, that we're looking at the status of those projects. And so I think that's the thing I'm most excited about is like, yeah, the value proposition for the customer is like, hey, especially if you're going to have a lot of ongoing projects with us at once, this is probably the easiest way you're going to have it laid out for you, that you can kind of really monitor the progress of each and just an easier way to interact. So it's not so like scattershot between phone calls and texts and email. It's like, no, you can do it all right here and you can keep track of it all right here. And it's really just trying to provide, I think, a more efficient system for our customers. So.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to have all in one place, as much as you can get in one place.
Right.
That's what we've tried to do with the new system, is try to make a one-stop place where you can check in and see where everything is at a glance.
Right. Even like pricing on, I know we have some customers that, we create product decals for them and they have a custom parts list that might be 1,000 parts on it, each one having a different drawing, different art, different dimensions, and different pricing and even tiered pricing for those things. Is this going to help them like keep track of that?
Yeah, a lot of them are keeping track through PO systems. And like you said, back to like the invoicing, there's so many different parts. The person who does the ordering might not be the person who pays the bills, might not be the person who, if we're dealing with vehicles, who is a fleet manager who's bringing the vehicles and transportation, or if they're leased vehicles, you have a leasing company involved. And there may be 4 or
'cause
5
we work with
people.
fleet services too.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that
are all
in
those
one
people going to
project.
have access to that one portal?
Yes, and they'll all be able to see what's going on. And the person who's placing the orders can say, "Hey, it looks like my accounting department hasn't paid this."
Right.
Or
they'll all be looking at the same thing.
yeah, they'll
Right.
all be able to see the same view at a glance and see where everything is, see what's going on,
'Cause it's
see
gonna
where their
save-
orders are.
Yeah, because it's going to
If
save
they're
them
shipped.
time too.
Yeah.
Like the amount of times that we've had to ask a question, they're like, I don't know, let me go check with this person, that person, this. But if they were all just shared on the same portal, they would all be kind of seeing the same thing at the same time and be able to address things a lot quicker. So I think it's going to be an organizational like boon for us. But I think it's
for
also
the customer.
I think it's also going to be really awesome for the customer, to allow
Don't have to
them
worry about hitting reply all.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it'll eliminate the reply all, but also I think like there's a lot of I'd say more industrial customers we deal with that deal with Well, they want a lot of confirmations. Hey, I sent you this order. Do you have a confirmation you got the order? You have a confirmation you put the order in. You know, we have approval, and they'll be able to see.
I want to see completion photos.
Yes.
If it's an
That'll
offsite or
all
like an
be
outsourced
there.
job. Right. Yeah. And that's huge. I mean, yeah, the number of times I have to like, you know, go back and find those photos or get an installer to send them to me, but now they will be uploaded directly the minute
You
the
need to make
project
just
is
a
complete.
podcast on this.
I know, right? We might, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, come back and do a podcast just on the new system
Sure.
for the customers when it's rolled out,
Yeah.
so we can introduce.
And now that I know
everybody
we
to
can
it.
have a TV screen here, we could have the PMS up on the screen and
Yeah.
be walking through it. All right.
Sounds great.
I'm going to book that later.
Yeah. I think you should get back to inviting more people to the shop too.
Yeah.
Come by. Come take a tour of the shop. We don't mind.
Yeah.
You're not gonna interrupt our day. We're glad to have you come in and see what we do. We've had customers that I think we did work for one customer for 10 years, and a couple of years ago they came in. I mean, probably did. Yeah, Magnuson. We did it for the customer. Probably I don't know how long we've done work for that customer. You know, before any of us worked
Yeah,
here.
before
but,
I ever worked there. But yeah, he didn't know that we did it by hand. He
They
didn't
thought
know that the
machines
stuff
did
was-
all
yeah,
the
he
vinyl
thought-
work for us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he didn't know. And we showed him how we do each sticker, and he was like, "You guys do that to every single sticker."
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You
And
have
he's
to.
like,
If you were ever wondering why something is priced a certain way, you're like, this is a small thing. Why this seems a little more expensive? Come in and watch the way they produce it. Cause a lot of it, there's so many, even like quality control stuff. Like there's so many checks. Like when you're doing, you know, something where there's whatever, 50,000 decals and you need to count and inspect every individual one. Like that takes time and then package.
well,
ship.
Magnuson, perfect example. They just had 5,000 stickers that went out the other day.
Yeah. And you have to make sure that
Every single one of them is the same.
right.
You have to count them. You have to double count them.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't.
And have a second person come in and count them. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, that's the double count.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
always have somebody else check your stuff because we're all human. We're gonna miss something.
Right.
You know, like we don't want to miss anything, but that's why we have somebody check it because it's like, hey, you missed this one thing. I did, or you miscounted by 5 stickers,
Yeah.
or you know, whatever it is. Like,
it's part of having good quality control is kind of just recognizing that like people are humans and we are all going to make mistakes all day long. So you have to like have those processes.
try to minimize them.
Well, you have to have those processes in place so that it's basically like, hey, we have so many redundancies in terms of this that it would take a miracle for it to get through the other end and be messed up.
Yeah.
Because 7 people have to check it.
You don't
You know what
check
I
your
mean?
own work is kind of one of our mottos there.
Right.
If I set up a design, I don't approve my own proof.
Right.
Somebody else has to approve that.
When a
Once-
vehicle gets done, it's not the installer inspecting the wrap. It's a salesperson or project manager.
Yes.
So-
Yeah, same thing. And before it leaves production, if Jeremy's the one who
If I
prepares
worked on it,
gets
I
completed,
can't check my own work. I gotta have somebody else check it.
And like that's if I was a manufacturer of something and I was needed whatever 100,000 decals a year for it, I would be looking for the company that has those processes in place because on their end, if they're getting messed up shipments all the time, I mean
that's more of a hassle.
that's a huge.
We
it can
we
be a huge
literally
headache.
have multiple customers that could go anywhere to have their stickers made, but they come to us because we do it the way they would like it. We do it fast and we do it right.
It's a beautiful thing.
You know what I mean?
I think we should end on that. I don't think you can end better than that. That was like the best last line ever. All right. Well, thank you guys. Again, this is Mike, Jeremy, and Jason with Crux RoadBoardz Graphics. Is this a podcast? Are we doing a podcast now?
I don't know.
I guess.
Maybe
Do it every month.
Name it.
we have to come up with a name for it.
Make your mark.
Sign guys. Make your mark with the sign guys. I don't know. We'll workshop it.
Yeah.
And
Send us your ideas.
Yeah, maybe we'll be back. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Awesome.
Got it.
Sweet.
Good stuff, guys.